Hey everybody, Lisa Salvatore here with a quick video to talk about the potency of this week. Today is September 29th that I'm recording this video, and it is the day that planet Saturn stations direct after having been retrograde since May 13th, I believe. Saturn has been retrograde, so whenever a planet is retrograde, the energy becomes more concentrated and more pronounced, and whatever areas of life that planet governs over become much more highlighted and much more emphasized, both personally and collectively. And because Saturn is a social planet, we do feel it more on the societal level, and so that has been playing out on the world stage quite a bit the past 6 to 8 months, and will continue to do so for the remainder of 2020 going into 2021. But what makes this most significant is the fact that Saturn stationing direct today, September 29th, is squaring Mars, which is retrograde in Aries. And this has happened, normally it happens every year for a couple of days, but because of the planetary alignment this year and because of Mars retrograde, Mars and Saturn have been very close to each other in a tense aspect. And we've been feeling this for some weeks now. I want to take you back to August 24th when we had the last Mars-Saturn square. So basically the energy right now has been a buildup of intensity and emotion bottled up since that point in time, and a lot of it has blown its top, okay? And think about what's been going on for you personally and where you have felt like the best way to describe Mars and Saturn when they're squaring each other is, okay, Mars wants to go and move and fight and do things, and Saturn just wants to pump the brakes and be like, you know, you can't do this because it's not the right time, or you don't have enough facts, or there's the restrictions here. In whatever way this takes form for you on the personal level is one way, but collectively we're seeing this play out where we're still being restricted and being told what we can and cannot do, and we do still have many restrictions placed upon us in a lot of different ways, and it's frustrating, and people are very, very frustrated. And so today, with Saturn stationing direct, although it is still squaring Mars retrograde, it will kind of feel like the gas pedal, the pressure gets lifted just a little bit, and you might be able to see ways in which things can move forward again in your personal life and in the outer world. But it's just not going to be fully formed yet. You're not going to really have that release, but you're going to maybe see a glimmer of what's to come with hard work, perseverance, and planning, because that's what Saturn wants us to do. It asks us to do that work. And so hopefully while Saturn was retrograde on the personal level, you were looking inward, because retrogrades always force us to go within. It's a period where the planet's energy gets very pronounced and gets very highlighted. And so it does bring the focus internally for us to work with that energy on a much deeper level and on a much more personal level. So hopefully the past 6 months have felt liberating throughout the chaos, okay? Now, also this week on Thursday, we're going to have a very potent full moon in the sign of Aries, the ram, the fire sign, okay? This sign likes to move, it likes to do things, it likes to act, it likes to be courageous, okay? This full moon is conjuncting Chiron, the wounded healer, which again, Chiron brings up pain, Chiron brings up wounds, Chiron brings up where we need to heal something within ourself that has been bothering us and restricting us for quite some time. Again, there's that word of restriction. And where do these restrictions most likely take place, okay? Well, the sun is in Libra currently, which is the sign of the other. It is the sign of partnerships, okay? And when we have a full moon, the sun and the moon are opposite each other, and it speaks to opposing forces at work in our lives, okay? So it speaks to our ego and our soul, our head and our heart, what we really truly want and desire versus what we feel we can attain right now, or what's practical or what's logical. And so at this time, there's just this push-pull dynamic and a feeling of overall, it could be angst when it comes to partnerships and relationships of all kinds, and contracts and projects, situations where we just feel like we want to push ahead and move forward, and you know, Aries wants to act and it wants to move, but there's this tension because Chiron brings up pain of where we know we've tried to do things a certain way and it might not have worked for us. So it is forcing us to, again, go inward and look to where we feel limited and why, and bring us back to that point in our lives where we can maybe pinpoint what that's about. And the reason for that is to lean into it. It's not to hurt us, it's not to bring us more pain, but it's ultimately to heal us. This full moon is also going to be squaring Mars, which it's going to be conjuncting Mars, which Mars is squaring off with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. So again, there's this energy of tension and of intense energy and wanting to push ahead and wanting to act and wanting to fight and wanting to move forward towards what we believe in and what we want. But then there's also this feeling of blockage and restriction and delays, and that's extremely frustrating. And let's not forget that Mars is retrograde and people are already irritated and angry, and that's the energy at this point. So again, this week is very tension producing. It feels like a pressure cooker. I've been using that term a lot lately, but the past 2 to 3 weeks have really felt that way. And so it's really important right now that you tend to the internal and that you look after yourself on a much deeper level. A lot of folks that have been struggling with mental illness or a lot of emotional distress, this is not an easy time. So make sure that if you do have any loved ones that are struggling or suffering and that you're aware of, that you reach out to them, because this is not an easy time for people. It really isn't, and it's tough. So this full moon energy is nerve-wracking. It is potent. It is on a lot of levels, it could be a good thing if you're channeling your energy constructively. But if you're not sure what to do with it, it could come out in an improper way, like especially when it comes to anger and irritation. So it's important to look into where are these feelings coming from. This full moon takes place on October 1st, 5:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 9 degrees of Aries. So those that will feel this energy the strongest are going to be the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, particularly the sun, moon, rising signs in Aries. And if it's around the 9th degree, okay, you will be feeling this energy quite intensely. You will be feeling fired up, literally, with this full moon energy. Also the cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer. Anybody with those planets with a high emphasis in your birth chart are going to be feeling this energy intensely. Everyone is, to a degree, because it's just been a buildup of especially since last week with the stressed aspects the planet Mercury has been making. Mercury is how we communicate, it's how we think, it's our mind, it's the process that we go through consciously and subconsciously. And so that's been tense and stressed out. And then we moved into this week with Saturn stationing direct, and now we've got Pluto, by the way, that's going to be stationing direct on October 4th. So whenever a planet is about to station direct, it's literally stopped in the sky and its energy is emphasized and it's potent and it's blaring down on us. And Pluto is the god of the underworld. He rules over regeneration and death and rebirth and all that deep, deep stuff that we need to often look at to pull us up and make us better. And so he's about to go direct on October 4th. So again, there's just this feeling of wading through the mud to get to the pot of gold, okay? To get to that place where we feel like there's more and more relief. And honestly, as we move into October, even though the energy is quite intense and we're going to go into Scorpio season, and again, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, which is also the underworld, and it brings up a depth and an intensity, and people are much more willing to go deep, and it's much more the Plutonian nature of relationships comes through, where it's like forces us to really dig deep into ourselves and figure out why we are the way we are. It makes us go into the psychological realms to try to get to the bottom of things and to dig. And that is what this time is about. It's like investigating your own psyche, your own soul, and trying not to hurt anybody in the process, because this is, again, I'm going to stress, a time of irritation and tension and stress. And so tending to the internal is the most important thing you can do at the moment, and being kind to one another and just having compassion and looking at, we are under Libra season. And again, Libra is the sign of the other. So this is about looking in the mirror and recognizing where no one is perfect. We all have our own demons to slay, okay? And often we're always looking on the outside to correct something, when in reality we need to look to the inside first. So just make sure that you're doing that and that you're not projecting your own fears and your own insecurities into your relationships, which we all do to some extent, but it's a lot easier to do that right now rather than turning the flashlight inward. But as we move towards the Pluto stationing direct on October 4th, we are definitely, and as we get past that full moon on October the 1st, we're going to be feeling that relief of like, okay, I now finally see what this has been trying to show me, or what this relationship has been trying to tell me, or what this job is trying to teach me, or this mentor, what they're trying to show me. Whatever it is, it's like you're gonna get that aha moment. You're gonna get that epiphany as this full moon passes. So remember, guys, that this is a very strong time of emotional outbursts, emotional outrage, I hate to say, I'm sorry to say, and just people overall feeling like they need more. They need more. There's just a sense of friction, and again, that can be also used in an advantageous way. It could give way to really pushing forward in projects and in situations where the energy is needed. So it does not have to be something that is not positive. It can most certainly go for the positive. But again, if you're feeling like you're hitting a brick wall consistently, it's because the energy is not promoting the movement forward, and you have to honor that, because it's when you don't honor that when things really tend to go awry. So pay very close attention to what's going on. Pay close attention to your dream state. Pay close attention to your relationships right now. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves. And I will be back in another week or so to talk more about Pluto, the god of the underworld, and what all of that energy is going to lead us into. I'm just going to pull a card here from my Messages from Spirit postcards. I love these. What they want us to know. I also want to mention that Venus is moving, the planet of love and what we value and our money, is moving into Virgo on October 2nd as well, after having been in Leo. And so when Venus is in Leo, she's very playful and vivacious and feisty and you know, sexy and creative. And then Venus moves into Virgo, and while Virgo can be all of those things and often will be all of those fun things, Virgo's also very critical and analytical and likes to, you know, poke holes in everything and find what's wrong. And so with Venus, the goddess of love, and as we're talking about relationships and projection and all of that, when Venus moves into Virgo, there's going to be this potential to be more critical of our loved ones and to be looking at their faults. And so instead, we should be looking at the good. So try to remember that as you move along the next few weeks while Venus is in Virgo. It forces us to be more picky and more critical when it comes to who and what we love and who and what we value and how we do that. So just pay more attention to that. And if, you know, just be mindful that you're going to be feeling that energy of criticism more strongly than normal. Pump up the music, bang the drums, get on up and start that hustle towards your goals and dreams. There are times to be still, but this is not one of them. Now is the time to make that first move, say yes to life, pick up the phone, make that decision, and take that one step toward the gods or us. Expect a cascade of changes, good news, and opportunities to show up, as if by magic. Well, we know it's really spirit and all of us moving things around for your benefit. The point is that we are saying go for it. Take positive action toward your dreams. Even if the outcome isn't an exact fit for your agenda, it will all be orchestrated by spirit and arrive in divine appropriate timing. Wow, okay. So this is my feeling, is that today's Saturn station direct. And like I said earlier, when Saturn station's direct, it's like you can feel your foot coming off that gas pedal, coming off the brakes and about to pump the gas, right? To move forward a little bit. And if you've been doing your work, if you've been doing your Saturn work, and if you've been looking at and making a plan and trying to figure out, okay, next step, one more step, how can I do this? Let me make a plan, let me make a schedule, whatever situation you're working on or working through, if you've been doing that, it will all line up. You will have support when you need it. It's just taking those steps. Even if you can't move full speed ahead, it's just taking those first few little steps that helps. And then someone or something will come along, and as long as you're doing your work, eventually the doors open up, and then you know it's time to act, and then you know it's really time for things to move ahead. To every season, turn, right? As that song goes. And we are in the season of autumn, which is harvest season, which is a time of great reflection, and it's a time of building, and it's a time of harvest. So take stock, guys. Take really good care of yourselves, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.